Afternoon all. I don't know if anybody saw my 5 on Friday that I did yesterday because Facebook was really glitchy yesterday and it was doing this weird thing and it kept on stopping, and I don't think it was my internet. I don't think it was an error at my end, although it could have been. So I'm just going to redo my 5 on Friday as a video because quite a few people emailed me and said, oh, I didn't see it and I wanted to see you talking about some of those books. So I thought I would just redo it quickly this afternoon. First of all, but can we just admire these? I got these earrings this morning at piano lessons, as you do, because the lady that does the admin for where we go to piano lessons, Pathways to Music, Hayley, has this company called Done by Daisy, and she makes amazing earrings. And these are super light, and I absolutely love them. And I am completely and utterly obsessed with earrings, as you probably already know if you follow me. So yeah, got those this morning. Love them. Thanks, Hayley. Now, the 5 books that I wanted to show you this week are some that I thought would be really good for the start of the school year, either for really little people or sort of middle primary. But I am focusing on the early years this week because it's a time of genuine excitement for little people and for their parents and teachers as they start their reading journey. So the first book that I want to show you is a really beautiful new picture book called Rue Knows Blue by Renee Tremel, who is one of my favorites. She does the most exquisite picture books and a fabulous graphic novel series called Sherlock Bones. And she is also very well known for the artwork that her artwork that often goes on Crockery and La La Land, also uses her illustrations. Long before I knew that Renee Tremel was a children's book illustrator, I knew her from La La Land posters, which I covered my children's bedrooms in when they were babies and they didn't have a say in what they covered their bedroom in. Anyway, this is her latest picture book, and it's a fabulous one for really little people. So like birth up until, I don't know, kindy or prep even, because it's all about learning your colors and knowing your colors. And it's a rhyming text. Rhyming texts always alarm me initially, but Renee has done a really beautiful job with it. It romps along beautifully, or it hops along beautifully. Little Rue hops along and sings this song. The sky, the lakes, and flowers too. Rue knows blue. And then it goes on and we go through all of the different colors, but Rue's favorite color is blue. And it's quite interactive because he's saying everything is blue, and then you kind of have to yell back at the book, no, it's red. And again, he's going to say that it's blue, and you have to yell back that it's yellow. So it's a really clever one, and I really like it. Now, Renee Tremel uses a illustration technique which involves scratchboard, and she's got a great blog post on her website about what scratchboard is and how she makes her illustrations. I have always deeply loved her illustration style. It's very beautiful. Reminds me a little bit of Narelle Oliver's Lino Cuts. Narelle was one of my very dear friends and one of Australia's most well-known children's book author illustrators, and she passed away a few years ago. So I would have loved to discuss Renee Tremel's illustrations with Narelle. I really like them. Now, if you don't know how to find out about how an illustration is done, I'm going to be a librarian here and direct you to the imprint page. I'm always banging on at school with students about looking at the imprint page. It's where the dedication is. I think dedications are really interesting. It tells you lots and lots of information that you need for reference lists, but it also often gives you some information about the illustrative technique. And in this case, I think it does say, now I'm going to be proven wrong, no it does. The illustrations were created with scratchboard, ink and watercolors and then digitally collaged. So I really like knowing and being able to tell students how the illustrations are done. Now, the publisher have also done a really lovely activity pack, which would be really useful in maybe kindergarten or childcare. Chickpea yesterday, who's 8, was like, can I do this? Can I fill this out? It's like, yeah, sure. But she wants to do that later after I finish with the video. And it's got a great colouring page which Renee has drawn, and it invites the young reader to then go a little bit further with the book and think about what colours little Rue can see. So I really love that. Now, moving on to a series for slightly older readers, the Aussie Kids series is brilliant. It is set in, there's going to be one from each of the states in Australia, and they're all going to have different Aussie kids, and they're going to showcase diversity, and they're all going to showcase different authors and illustrators. So each one is written by a different author and illustrated by a different illustrator. The first 2 are out at the moment. The first one is Aussie Kids Meet Zoo and Zach at the Zoo. Zoe and Zach Meet Zoe and Zach at the Zoo by Belinda Murrell and David Hardy. And in this one, Zoe and Zach were born in the same hospital in Dubbo, and now they live in Dubbo Zoo with their families, and it's set at the zoo. It's fabulous. You can see that this is for emerging independent readers. So for those little people who are doing school readers, but maybe need a little bit of supplementary recreational reading at home. I love books like this because these are not a school reader. They are not a teaching tool. They are an actual book written by an actual really brilliant author. I mean, Belinda Murrell, I just love everything that she writes. She is such a great writer for middle grade and young adults and younger readers. And I love that she's sort of moved down even further into emerging readers. And this is a great book. She's a great writer. So this is to supplement your child's school reading. At the end of each book, there's some fun facts, in this case on zoo animals, and then a little bit of information about the author and the illustrator, which I really like because it's, again, really, it adds something extra to the book when you can find out a little bit about the person who created it and make that person come to life. Now, the second one in the series, and there's just 2 out at the moment, is by Maxine Beneba Clark, who again, oh my gosh, a little bit fangirly over her at Brisbane Writers Festival last year. I really like Maxine Beneba Clark. Anyway, I'll stop fangirling. This is a great one. This is about a boy called Taj who has just come to Australia. He had to leave the country and come to Australia as a refugee, and he has this lucky t-shirt that he wears everywhere with a lightning bolt on it, and it's absolutely fantastic. Now, Taj is finding it, so this one is set in Victoria. So each of the books start with a map and tells you where the story is set. So in this story, Taj is having, I don't know, he's just, as you would, he's finding it really confusing, settling into a new country, having to make new friends, having to learn English. His family are having to learn English, and Dad's finding it really hard to get a job. Dad eventually gets a job as a helper at the lighthouse, and they move into the local lighthouse. And Taj's mum is beautiful. She's just always saying, be patient, Taj, be patient. And Taj loves his lucky lightning bolt t-shirt, and he wears it quite a lot, hoping it will bring good luck. But in fact, he just needs to believe a little bit in himself and in the process. It's really hard moving to a new country and settling in and building community again. And as Taj's mother says all the time, he just needs to be patient. And it ends beautifully. It's gorgeous. And this one's then got facts about lighthouses at the end. This book is everything I want in a book for young people. I really like books that talk about contemporary world issues, such as moving to a new country, perhaps being as a refugee. And even though this is for a really young audience, and some people might be like, oh, that seems heavy subject matter for a 6 or 7 year old, it's not at all. It's actually reality, guys. And I think we underestimate children and we underestimate what they understand. And I think the thing that I most love about this series is that hopefully young people everywhere will see them represented, see themselves represented in this Aussie Kids series. How brilliant to be able to read that with a refugee child. And my mother does volunteer work at a local school, that Milpera in Brisbane, that does you know, children who've just arrived in Australia go there to learn English for a while. How great to have that book in that library. How great to have this book, which has got such representations of diversity as well. So there's going to be heaps in that series, and I'm so looking forward to the rest of them. Now, likewise, and I wanted to showcase both of these series in the same week. This series is brilliant. It's so funny. This is The Besties by Felice Arena and Tom Jellett. Now, Miss Olive, my library assistant, will attest to this. Lots of you will know these Sporty Kids books, which are pictured in the back, which are also by Felice and Tom Jellett. And they are some of the most popular books in my library, and they are always out. They are for emerging readers, absolutely, and so are these. So in this series, The Besties are Oliver and Ruby. And this is the first book, this is the second one, and there's going to be lots more in this series as well. And Oliver and Ruby's are besties. And I love that there's both a male and a female protagonist, and they have equal playing space in the book. However, I would also say that I think it could be a book with just 2 boys or 2 girls or whatever, because I just think books are books are books are books. Stories are stories are stories are stories. boys need to read books with girls in them, and girls need to read books with boys in them. We kind of need to understand everybody. But I do love that we've got a male and a female protagonist sharing equal playing space in this series. So Ruby plays the ukulele and she is really good at it. Side note, Felice Arena, the author, plays the ukulele, and Oliver is a really great artist, and he has a comic at the back of each book. So again, you'll see that it's a very low level of text. So again, good one to support emerging readers, good one to read alongside home readers perhaps, lots of illustrations to support the reader along the way, and lots of humour. So in this one, the first one, they're having show and tell, but they've got a substitute teacher who's not particularly friendly, and he doesn't want to do show and tell. He leaves the classroom briefly, and Ruby decides she is going to run show and tell because she is one of those girls that's just going to take over the classroom. And she goes ahead and sort of starts the show and tell. It's really funny. There's a fair bit of not toilet humor, but they do that like farting under your arm thing. It's quite funny. And then at the end of each book, there's a comic by Oliver. I think he calls it Ollie Comics. And that's great as a different text type. And then what else is at the end? Oh, instructions. These set of instructions is how to make a rude noise with your armpit. So it's really great to not just have a narrative, but then to have an example of how instructions work. So a procedural text, how to make a fart noise with your armpit. And then some visual literacy with some comic. And then there is a song in each book from Ruby with the simple chords so that you can play it on your ukulele. You can also go to the Besties website and get all of the music for each of the songs. And then there is jokes. So that is really fantastic, having so many different text types in the one book. As a teacher, I absolutely love that. And in this second one here, they rescue a bird, and there's instructions at the end on how to care for a bird. And again, we've got Ollie's comics, and we've got Ruby's ukulele song, and some jokes. These are so funny. They're really, really, really clever. I love I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I assume Felice and Tom Gellert know each other, but there's this real playfulness between this beautiful synchronicity between the text and the illustrations in this case, and there was in Sporty Kids as well. If they're not good friends, they know each other's work very, very well, and they kind of like, it feels playful, even just the writing process feels playful, and it comes across in the books. Felice is a masterful storyteller. He's got books for middle grade readers as well, so yeah, highly recommend those books for emerging readers. Now, I've spoken about this one before. I absolutely love it. It's I See by R. Henderson, Robert Henderson. I've spoken about it before on Five on Friday, but I wanted to showcase it again at the start of the school year as an example of a text that's a really, really important one to read with little kids that are going to start to get hung up on the fact that reading can be a little bit of a chore. Particularly if you've got someone in prep or year one, oh gosh, home readers can start to become a bit of a chore. Reading in general can start to have a little bit of anxiety around it. This is the sort of book which just tips that all on its head and gets children to play and interact with a book, and I absolutely love any book that does that. I love this book for young readers. I also love it for older readers, and I'll talk about that in a tick. So this book asks you to interact and read it with somebody else. It's a shared book reading experience. So I could read it with one of my daughters, or you could read it with half of your class on one side of the room and half on the other side. But it asks you to do this. I see future, and then the other person reads, I see past. This is not a book to show you on a video, okay? You're just gonna have to believe me that it's really good. I see up and I see down. I see smile and I see frown. And when you turn the pictures, oh, Robert, I should have asked you what these pictures are called before I did this. I do know. No, it's gone. It flips the picture. When you flip the pictures around, it's two different. It shows you a different perspective. So it's really interactive. It's lots and lots of fun. At one stage, you have to turn the whole book around and read it in a completely different way. It's incredibly well designed. I've had it on my coffee table since I launched it last year because I love showing it to any adults that come to my house. It's one of those really, really great books to just enjoy. Now, the other thing that I think that is useful for is for older children. So we have a philosophy club at our school for grade 6 students, and lots of schools have philosophy clubs or have sort of those sorts of discussions in their classrooms these days about seeing different perspectives on the world. That book is a brilliant, brilliant introduction to the different perspectives that we can have even when we're looking at the same thing. And I think that it's a great one to introduce that idea and discuss it then with older students. And the final book that I have to show you is another one just to have on the kitchen table or the coffee table or where your kids do your homework. This is a dictionary of difficult words, and I just adore it. Again, I think I've talked about this one before, but it's a good start of year reminder. So it starts with welcoming all of the wordsmiths, and if your children aren't wordsmiths, still buy it for them because they might one day become a wordsmith with good books like this one. And it tells you what a dictionary is. It talks a little bit about the parts of speech. It talks a little bit about how to read a dictionary and the different parts of words and what that all means. And then it goes into really interesting words. This is not a normal dictionary. So of course, I was about to say you should all of course have a Macquarie or other Oxford dictionary in your house. And I just realized as I was about to say that I actually don't own a paper dictionary anymore. We just use Google Home, which is dodgy. As a librarian, I probably should have a paper dictionary at home. I don't. I'm just going to admit that. But I do have this and I love it. This to me is so much more fun. It's got words like affable, aloof, ambidextrous, arid, bellwether, I don't even know what that one is, bedazzled. Now, I spent 10 years working at Spotlight. I can bedazzle anything. I used to bedazzle my entire body to go to raves in the 90s. I loved working at Spotlight. I had access to all of the bedazzling materials I could ever need. I adore the word bedazzled. Browbeat, bugbear, look, cacophony, darkle. That's a great word. I don't know what darkle means. If something darkles, it becomes less and less light or more and more dark. That's a good word. Anyway, so this is a great book just to have on the kitchen table and flick through. My kids have had a lot of fun just reading it while they're eating their cereal. And I don't know if either of them have used any of those words in their writing that they've done at school or at home, but they're great. It's great for increasing vocab. So I just love it. It's really fun and it's just interesting words. And again, it's a really beautiful book. So that's the 5 books that I wanted to share with you this week. Sorry about the lack of actual live interaction, but this will have to do. And I will see you all again next Friday at 4 o'clock, and I will hope that the technology works a little bit better. See you later.